even have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones. Well, good day. This is the Talk Beat Jones, and I am Billy Jones's Jones. Thanking you for joining us from all around the world. And I'm a little sounding this way. We lost our queen, councilperson Joanne Watson, has gone to be with the Lord. And so starting off a little bit, want to acknowledge the transition there. See, I have a call early. Caller, are you there?
Hello?
Okay, hold on, please. So, family, once again, this is the Talk Beat Jones. And again, I am Billy Jones's Jones. And we want to thank you. That's right, we want to thank you because all of you that are sharing the program and that are liking the program, listen, you're making it become more and more popular to folks that didn't know about Talk Beat Jones and Billy Jones. Thank you very much. Remember, we're on the air every Wednesday from 10 a.m. until 11, and there's a repeat broadcast on Sunday from 4 to 5 on 105.2. Also, you can type in on the YouTube, TV33 on demand, and you can go to the date of the show. Just go look at the Wednesdays and that week, that date, put it in, and you will get that show. You can also scroll down the viewing list, and you can also see us there. You can see a picture, and you can see the date. Pick it up, and also share it. Caller, let's bring you in just for a moment to just get you, so we know that we have someone live. Can I get your name and where you're calling from, please?
My name is Leo Brazil. I'm from Oakland, California.
Oakland, California, okay. Mr. Leo Brazil, a very prominent, famous person in the Oakland Bay Area and that community. We'll get back to you shortly. So, family, we've been hit hard of late. That is, the folks that we know. And all we can do is ask you to continue to put up your prayers. Put up your prayers, and prayer warriors, let's get busy. Let's get real busy and throw out that protective shield. Speaking of the shield, let's talk about, at some point, since I have Mr. Leo Brazil, we want to talk about what is that word that when black folks was in slavery and they came out of slavery, Mr. Leo Brazil, and now they're trying to get what type of settlement?
Called reparations.
Reparations. And so we want to make sure that we can go into talking about the reparations because I think that you have some information, some lead-in information of what's going on or about to happen that will be interesting for the family here in Detroit and all around the world because, again, that happens here or there becomes a template for other cities and other countries, per se. So, Mr. Leo Brazil, before you talk about it, I want to ask you, will you have any information potentially about the developments of that particular segment?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm on the Alameda County Reparations Commission.
Okay, so we want to bring that up, family. I want you to hear what's going to be happening for you. Somebody who has some knowledge. We talk about it here about trying to get this going, etc. We want to compare. I want you to know in case the people who are trying to be on the committee or on the committee here in Detroit will have an idea in terms of what they may be able to add to what they're trying to do. Mr. Leo Brazil, help educate us about a trip that you took to where?
Well, my most recent trip has been to Kemet.
Kemet. Now, we've heard a lot about Kemet. Why should we recognize that name?
Because that's what the original people there called themselves.
So,
Kemetic.
so black folks, are we the original people?
Well, the Kemetic people were black in this place that we now call Egypt. If I say Egypt, then everybody will know what I'm talking about in the modern context. But the people that called it Egypt were called Greeks.
We're called
And
Greeks.
the Greek name for Egypt is Egypt, and the people who their name were Kemet.
So now, why is it important for us as black folks to understand about Kemet?
Because there's another word from the Akan people in West Africa called Sankofa. And Sankofa means go back and find it. So I went to Egypt to find Kemet.
And what did you find there, sir?
I found magnificent structures that are 7,000, 10,000 years old, with handwriting all over the walls and the ceilings and everywhere, talking about their understanding of life and their history.
So the original writings are still there. They could not and have not taken those writings off the wall or destroyed those writings. Is that somewhat correct?
Well, there has been a governmental effort to erase the blackness of the people there. And it is an ongoing process right now. If you get into a debate about Egypt, there's still a discussion of who the people were that were the original Kemetic people.
Okay. And what was the most beautiful sight that you were able to see there?
Oh, there was so much beauty in everything, so it's something that will take you years to talk about. But the main thing that everybody should focus on in going into research on Kemet is the Nile River. And the Blue Nile was the most beautiful thing that I saw.
Now, what's unusual about the Nile River?
Well, it's a river that flows from south to north. The Mississippi River runs from north to south. The Amazon River runs from north to south. The River Jordan runs from north to south.
Mm-hmm.
The Nile River runs from south to north. And the south is up in the mountains. So the river runs down from the mountains to the Mediterranean Sea,
Mm-hmm.
which is in the north. So they speak of the south as up south. And we speak of the south as down south.
Okay. And so when you mentioned about this trip, I thought about Malcolm X and his trip.
To Mecca.
Yes, sir. Because it was an awakening, and that's what the awakening of you that happened when you went there. Is that correct?
No, it was not an awakening. It was, for Malcolm, it was a pilgrimage. And for me, it was a pilgrimage.
Okay.
And he discovered something that he didn't know in his pilgrimage. He found that Muslims were of all colors and all peoples. I went as a pilgrimage in honor of my late wife because I wanted to go to Abu Simbel. And Abu Simbel is a beautiful temple that everybody's familiar with that Ramses built in honor of his beautiful queen. So I went to pay homage to my queen, the late Linda McDonald.
Yes, beautiful, wonderful, and I have to say that I'm going to say it. When I had a problem with Chuck Johnson and Soul Beat, and it was during the time of the Madge Gates situation, and I basically had threw my hat in because remember, I was Jones's size, making my money, being famous before I ever dealt with Soul Beat. So when this situation occurred, and I didn't care for it, I decided that I was not going to continue. It was your wife that came to my studio and talked with me, and that was the reason that I have continued with Soul Beat. A story never told.
Well, it's because she was a follower of Billy Jones Asides in Oakland, California. She introduced me to Jones Asides because she would get up and exercise at that time. They were doing this, that was early on before Jane Fonda and all the rest of them, was doing exercise on television. There was a black man on television named Billy Jones, and
yes,
my wife got up and did her exercise with Jones Asides.
But your wife was a wonderful envoy for Soul Beat Chuck Johnson because she had influence, Mr. Leo Brazil. Your family had influence. And we are lucky that your wife stepped in and would always be that person to smooth things over. And part of the existence of Soul Beat staying and being able to do some things in Oakland, we have to give your wife a hand. People don't know. I know.
Well,
because, I was with Chuck.
A gentle soul, and she got that from her mother. And her mother, Miss Gustavia McDonald, was the most beautiful woman that I'd ever seen when I was a young boy growing up.
Yes.
And lo and behold, her daughter was just like her. Figure-wise and facial beauty-wise, but more importantly, heart-wise. They were both gentle, beautiful women.
Oh, man, when she put that smile on you with them eyes, it was like, whatever you want us to do.
Now, it was those eyes. My song that I love today by Roberta Flack. The first time I saw your face.
Oh, okay. Now I'm going to bring you out of it because I can see we're about to go into. But that again is for folks who had that special love in their life, and it's made a transition. And you can think about those wonderful things. You can think about the things they've done for other folks as well. But now we also want to go into Joe Biden, the president.
Yes.
Mr. Leo Brazil, real quickly, hit on some of your resume so people will understand when we talk who you are, real quick.
Well, I used to be a host on Soul Beat Television when I was a member of the Oakland City Council for 2 terms that I did. And I was practicing law with my own law firm at Harrison, Taylor, in Brazil for about 35 years. And I went to Merritt College and hooked up with 2 famous students there. They became famous, Bobby Seale and Huey Newton.
Are you talking about the Black Panther folk?
Yes. I was president of the Black Student Union at Merritt College when in 1966 they announced that they were forming a party, a political party, to seek redress against the Oakland police.
Mm-hmm. And you, like you said, Allen Temple.
Oh
And
yeah,
the reason I put that in because
that's in a place now that I love being a member of Class 9 at Allen Temple Baptist Church, and sometimes the substitute teacher of that Bible class.
mm-hmm, of which Mr. J. Alfred Smith was my instructor and gave me that. You know, you go enough classes, you get the right hand. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's wonderful. Now, break down, as we're going through looking at the Democratic Party, and I brought this up some months ago, and we talked about it, and I poo-pooed, and it's come up. It's still coming up real strong, and this indication that some folks are saying that Joe is going to be too old or is too old, and other folks are saying, but the backslap to that is they don't want, what's the vice president name correctly?
Kamala.
They don't want her. Can they do a Joe Biden ticket and not have her?
Yes.
They can?
Yes. Joe, if Joe gets the nomination, he could pick Billy Jones as his vice presidential candidate. But I think he's going to stick with who he picked the first time. And why shouldn't he?
Oh, he'd have hell to pay. Yeah, he'd have hell to. I mean, he'd have hell to pay, and he knows it, and the political folks know it, because it'd be just enough to take the election away from him and whoever he'd have. Yes, sir. But why are people, knowing that Joe is old per se, and you got a black woman sitting there in the seat that says I will be your president? Why they don't want that?
Because it's foolishness. The goal of every sane, living human being is to get old.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody that's not trying to get old.
But what is it that they're saying? That he's had a good run in terms of his politics and et cetera, and being able to work, you know, as a Democrat that's dealing with the Republicans, et cetera. So why is it that the people are saying, okay, yeah, he's done a great job, but I don't believe that he would be able to handle another 4 years if he was elected?
Well, they can feel that if they want to. What's the basis for that? They say, well, when you get old, that's when you die. So I know so many friends of mine from the time of my first funeral I ever went to when I was 6 years old. One of my colleagues died. So people die young. So they don't think about that. They think about old people dying.
Is it oldness?
They're worried about Joe being old because he might die.
Okay.
And if he dies, who will become the president? His vice president.
And
they don't necessarily think that Kamala Harris should be the president, and that's what they're really worried about.
But these are and somewhat Democratic folks who went through the process and know that he says this is the best person for me. So now with the idea that he's aged,
and when he chooses her again, they'll buckle up their belts and move on. But right now, they can speculate all they want. But until he gets the nomination and says, I'm going with Harris, which says that's who he's going to go with, they're not going to be satisfied. They're going to worry, oh, Lord, he might die. But then you say, well, what were you worried about him dying? They never mention her name. They don't want to go there. They don't want to go there because they know they're going to make a whole lot of black women very angry.
Okay, I'm listening to other stations that, our folks primarily probably don't listen to. Maybe, I mean, when I say our folks, I can't speak for all of us. I'm just speaking for me, and say that I've listened to other stations, and yes, sir, they have mentioned by name the vice president.
And what did they say?
Do you want this person? And they'd go through some of the things that she has, quote, missteps that they feel that they wanted to highlight.
Mm-hmm.
To say, you don't want this woman as your president. They started it. That's what I said before. I said that earlier in the year. And now it has started. People are doing saying these particular things. But anyway, we know that. What I'm saying is, let's take the cover off our head and look straight and be clear, and let's be for real. We know that the onslaught is going to be about his age. The onslaught is going to be about, do you want this person being ready to be the president? Is it because she's a black person? Or is it because she's a black woman? Or is it because she's a woman, period?
All of that.
All of that, okay.
But they think she's weak for all of those reasons.
How do you think that, go ahead.
Black, that means not intellectually capable. Female, meaning too soft, not executive material. And because she also is married to a man of non-color, if we will say it that way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so those problems that people have about her completely ignores the fact that California is the big enchilada in America, the 40 million people, and she was elected district attorney of San Francisco. She was elected twice as Attorney General of California. She was elected as the United States Senator from California. Yet still, they don't think that she's qualified. Joe Biden was elected to the United States Senate from Delaware. And they got more people in San Francisco than they have in Delaware. So what are we talking about? Somebody just hiding their true feelings about this situation, which they just don't cotton up to Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what can black folks do coming
Vote.
forward? You say vote?
Yeah, that's the main thing they can do. That's where your power is vote. All this talk and chit-chat and everything will be settled once they pick the nominee. If it's Biden and Harris, then get off your butt and vote.
Mm. Okay. And once we've done that, are we ready to get reparations?
Well, that's going to be an issue. I was so happy that the issue was prominently spoken about by all of the Democratic candidates when Joe Biden ran.
Mm-hmm.
The first time, and I said, wow, I waited 51 years for this issue to rise up to the point where we could discuss it nationally.
Now, what issue, when you say this issue, what issue are you speaking of?
The issue of reparations for black Americans who suffered under slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, and police brutality.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, we've heard the word, we've heard discussions, we've heard people start to speaking on it, and et cetera, but how is it that you actually get the ball rolling and get the community involved in that, or is that how it's worked? Is it just a group put together and they deal, or is it the community that continue to have the input into that group? How does that work, or we can go into it?
Which group are you speaking of?
The reparation group.
Oh, the people that support reparation?
Yes.
Oh, that goes back as far as a woman named Callie House. She tried to get reparations for the former slaves during the first Reconstruction period in the 1870s, 80s, and 90s. And the people didn't want to, the government, the white people at that time, didn't want to talk about it. So they arrested her for mail fraud for using the U.S. mails to contact and enroll people that wanted to press for reparations because they were former slaves.
Okay.
And they paid $5 a piece to be a part of that group. And the government said she was defrauding people, and they killed the movement. The next great woman in that movement was Queen Mother Moore, who petitioned the United Nations for reparations on behalf of the formerly enslaved people. And she didn't get anywhere, but her movement was centered in New York and Louisiana, where she was from, and they kept the issue alive. I guess the next person you could think of on the male side was Monroe Trotter of the Niagara movement. And the Niagara movement was started by W.E.B. Du Bois and Monroe Trotter and some other black people in Boston.
Mr. Brazil, would you hold one moment, please?
Yes.
So are you saying that the women actually were the first to initiate these movements?
Yes.
Excuse me.
But I'm just giving you two names.
Wait. I'm saying again, I want it understood. I want the world to hear. I want the folks to hear. I want us to hear this history. That's why I'm asking you these questions. You're telling us black women were actually the first to pick up this issue and move it.
Yes.
Black women.
Callie House.
Excuse me.
CallieHouse. Callie House. Google it.
So, Mr. Leo Brazil, so you're going to tell me that our black women had the opportunity, had the fortitude, had the ability to pull up and be strong enough, stronger than any other folk, men, and get and move this movement forward? Women, black women?
Yes.
I can't, wow. I'm startled. I'm surprised. I had no idea of that. And I'm sure there are many folks out there who did not know that black women, when we talk about reparations, black women have been in the front, were the ones, before I get started, am I telling the truth? Did you just tell me that black women are the people who were the people out front before we got, wow. To me, that's deep. That's deep.
It's history.
That's deep. Wow.
It's history.
And we as men look at our women and think that wow. Brave, strong, caring, loving.
Warriors.
And with that, folks, one more time, I know many of you are like me. You didn't know that black women actually have led the fight for reparations. Now, you stay right there because, again, I've got Mr. Leo Brazil, Oakland, California, who's all that and cake of cookies, to talk to you, to talk to us, and help us understand really what's going on. Talk Beat Jones, Billy Jones, Billy Jones-a-size Jones. We'll be back after these commercial announcements.
You wouldn't have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones.
on iHeartRadio? Yes, your podcast on iHeartRadio. What about Alexa, Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, Android, or iPhone? Plus live TV streaming. Get your podcast seen and heard all over the world. Call 313-868-6612. Pre-recorded shows are accepted to be archived. This is a WHPR distribution platform. Download the app from the App Store. Go to WHPRTV.com. Channels available for lease 24/7 on Roku, Fire Stick, or Apple TV. Coming soon with subscription and pay-per-view.
Also,
Block time is available. Get yours. Call 313-868-6612. That's 313-868-6612. Executive producer R.J. Watkins. Program director Henry Tyler. 107.5 FM WGPR HD2. RadioWeCanSee.com.
Justice for Mario Willis. Truth. Facts. Evidence. Matter. Log into justiceformariowillis.com. Read for yourself.
You wouldn't have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones.
The Talk Beat Jones. Once again, I am Billy Jones the Size Jones. They say, what the heck? What are you talking about, Jones the Size? I am that fitness master that's getting ready, family, to help you get fit, toned, and in some cases, real fine. That's the Jones the Size thing. Because we tell you about if you love yourself, you love your body. And you know, that's a reflective thing that sometimes we speak on and talk about, and we give it to everybody else. We give it to everybody else. But we forget about us, that is yourself. And when I point that finger to you, I turn that finger around and point it to me. Yes, yes, yes. But you know what? You take that finger that was pointed to you negatively and you turn it around and you point and said, I love me. I can take care of me. I have problems, but I can work it out. I love my body, and I love me. Age is a number that grabs you because of what? Your lack of activity, your lack of understanding of that you have to love your body and take care of your body, not just what it used to be, but what it is today. But what it is today. And if you've been lacking, like me, but if you're a natural, remember, family, Billy Jones was not taught by someone else the moves, the thoughts, the feelings. That came from my heart. Everything that was there is still there. The understanding that the body is not one that you take out the garage and ready to go from 0 to 60 right away, I'm smart enough to know that. But I'm smart enough to tell you, Jones size, we are on the way to getting back to serve you. Said that, Mr. Leo Bazile, to go back to this thing about reparations real quickly, and I want to move the reparations shortly to the police department and et cetera. But I was just astounded with the fact that you have informed us that in this particular area, black women put their lives on the line to lead in this cause. Wow. So, in California, Mr. Leo Brazil, what is the thought? Are they going to get it together? Are they doing anything to try to mobilize or start to organize folks? Or what is the ground zero situation in California?
Well, that's why I say God is good, because he brings things to a head at certain time, at the appointed time.
Mm-hmm.
So the appointed time has come to discuss the issue of reparations, because the court, just the Supreme Court of the United States, has now abolished affirmative action as a tool to remedy the setbacks that injustice put black people into. And so affirmative action being dead, the only tool that is left to remedy the inequality of slavery and other things is to repair the damage by closing the wealth gap between blacks and whites that occurred as a result of this injustice. So California, the big enchilada, has a reparations commission that studied for 2 years the effects of governmental discrimination on California black citizens, and they have submitted that report to the California legislature for the purpose of enacting legislation that will remedy these things that the government did to black people that needed to be repaired. So that's why there is a reparation movement that has finally come to the national attention, because you cannot ignore California. And I'm pretty sure that Michigan will be somewhere in the fray pretty soon, because New Jersey and California are the point of the spear right now.
Well, what I'm trying to do right now is, I realize, yes, Detroit is talking and going to make that move, but right now, California, have made the moves, making the move. So if you're leading the move and everyone else is still organizing, let us hear what's going on. How are they organizing?
They're going to use us as an example. Somebody has to be the spear, and each state and each region has different dynamics. So you can't come up with a cookie cutter that's going to fit every place. The main point, though, is out of Detroit, there was a gentleman named John Conyers. And John Conyers, every year, put in a bill called H.R. 40. And that 40 was for the 40 acres and a mule. So H.R. 40 was a thing that called for a study of how the government interacted with black people in a negative way, and therefore they could use that as the basis to talk about reparations like we're doing in California.
Okay, question though. Did that go through and was that enacted?
H.R. 40
Yes, sir.
was introduced for 11 years by John Conyers. Every year, every time the Congress met, he ran that flag up the pole.
Okay, now what was
only a few people saluted, but thousands and millions are now saluting it.
Okay, but what was it supposed to accomplish?
It was supposed to be a study to gather all the data around the nation of governmental actions that negatively impacted black people. Unfortunately, nobody was saluting the flag at that time except the Congressional Black Caucus. Now there is actually movement on the bill, but the Republicans have taken over the House, so it has come to a screeching halt.
Okay.
If we take the House back in the next election, I think H.R. 40 will make it to the floor.
Okay, question. The H.R. 40 situation, I'm listening. The group that are being placed together now, will they be waiting for that to pass, or will they be going across and putting together other means to accomplish getting the reparations?
No, H.R. 40 is the point. Nobody wanted to talk about it. But now California has raised the issue. It's going to be discussed nationally. So this is just putting pressure on the Congress to do what they need to do, because government is segmented. It is a federalism.
Okay.
There's federal, state, and local government. And I'm on a local government commission here in Alameda County.
Well, that's what I mean. Is I want to know what that part is doing, because here's my thought. This is me. That's wonderful. That's great. And we do understand the value. But you've also continued to put in that point that you're going to have to deal with the Republican Party, and they're saying no, and they have the power. Is that correct so far?
They have the power in many state legislatures.
So far.
They have the power in the House of Representatives, but not the Senate.
Okay.
The bill, H.R. 40, House Resolution 40, is in the House of Representatives, and it cannot get a vote on the floor because it cannot get out of committee.
Why?
Because nobody understood the issue of reparations and didn't support it, and Republicans are against everything.
Here's the process. When someone tells me
people.
at this point, if someone says that they don't understand, and we can say that this bill has been brought up for 11, during the Honorable John Conyers' time, 11 consecutive years, how can people say they don't understand? I believe that this is my thought, that yes, sir, they do understand. They do understand how to undercut it. They study it, and they look at how can they undercut it. They study it. They look at how to delay, how to make it so it doesn't get through. So no, it's not that they don't understand. To me, it's not that they don't understand. It's that they understand it very, very, very well, and they know how to deal with it. We are still in the process saying, well, once we get the power base or get this through this particular part, and we get them to come together, and they're saying, we're going to take this, make this not work, make that not work. They're not going to vote. They're not going to vote. Sounds good on paper, but it's not going to get movement. Is there anything, any other way that these commissions or that these groups can work without that happening? Just a question.
Well, it's a question that argues against itself, because you say they're not going to talk about it, and here we are doing what? Talking about it.
We're talking about the fact. We're talking about the fact that it has been processed, and there's no movement. You talk about something that you desire, something that is necessary, something that is great. You speak on it, and you look at the opposition and say, why? But if, and when, we'll continue with, and we'll end. It's almost like that process where we continue to say, when we all come together, this is what we can accomplish. When we all come together.
Right.
Okay? Knowing that we are fragmented.
Yeah.
And constantly fragmented. We have something negative big come up, and we say, if we all can just come together. And within that umbrella of 10 groups, 5 of those groups cannot come together.
Well.
Period. So what can we do if we don't get those things working like that's what my question is. I mean, is there anything, or is that just a hopeless situation that we're tied to, that this has to pass, is what I'm asking?
No. Callie House, back in the 1890s, had a fragmented people coming out of slavery. All the slaves were not united. She was trying to get them organized, and they put her in jail for doing it. Well, then Queen Mother Moore, in the 20th century, led the charge, took it to the United Nations. Nobody wanted to talk about it. Okay? It keeps going on, though, because it's the only thing that's going to repair the harm that was done. And at long last, after 51 years of me waiting, reparations is now being discussed on Billy E. Jones. And guess what? God has brought us a new mechanism to bring the fragmented pieces together. It's called artificial intelligence. AI will gather all of the facts that the California legislature, the Michigan legislature, and the New Jersey legislature, and the Alameda County local, and New Orleans city government, and Detroit city government pulls all these facts together, and AI will sort them out and twist them into the reparation braid that we want to bring about that unity. That's what a braid is. When you take all the strands of hair and you twist them all together,
yes,
you come out with a beautiful braid.
So
that's where we're heading.
So with this AI, artificial intelligence emerging now, has emerged, this is going to allow things to move potentially quicker because everything will be in a base brain that can figure out these things. Is that what you're saying somewhat?
Well, I'm just saying that there's a way to bring together all these strands.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing you got to do is create the strands. So we're creating a big strand here in California that everybody else will be able to emulate and adjust to their own local needs.
Okay. We'll talk about this a bit more. But why are cities having police commissions? What is the purpose? And can you talk about your situation with the how do people get nominated to be on those commissions, please?
Well, again, 1966, Bobby Seale and Huey Newton stood up against police brutality in Oakland, California. They were tired of the young black men being gunned down by the police. So when they started saying we're going to defend ourselves against the police, we have a right under California law to have our guns. So they came with their guns and stood out on the street to let everybody know that they could carry a gun like that. And lo and behold, what did the NRA, the National Rifle Association, do? They got a man named Don Mulford, white man from Piedmont, California, representing City of Oakland, to put in a bill outlawing guns in public places. And that's how the Black Panthers then went to Sacramento, the capital of California, to protest this law, and that's how they became famous all over the world, because black men with guns in the California legislatures went all over the world, just like Billy E. Jones goes all over the world today because of all of these new platforms that have sprung up over the last 20 years.
Give me, if you can, some folks in Oakland that you think are conscious about this reparation.
Well, again, let's stay on the police question that you asked.
Yes. Good.
Because what happened when people saw with their own eyes that Bobby and Huey were telling them about the police? They saw it with George Floyd. And all over the world, white, black, brown people marched in the streets because they saw it. We saw it before with Rodney King. But didn't nobody react that way except the riots that happened in Los Angeles. But when George Floyd kept his knee on his neck for 9 minutes, if you're a moral person, don't matter whether you're Democrat or Republican, communist or whatever, you're a human being, and you see a human being snuffed out like that, you got to do something. And all they did was got up and walked in the streets. But we're trying to get them now to organize to vote. Vote for H.R. 40. Vote for the California legislature proposals. Vote for Gretchen Wilmer, her name is, in Michigan, and others that are trying to bring this issue. And to vote for Joe Biden, who says he supports H.R. 40.
Okay. Now, flip it back to the police commission. What is it that the folks on the police commission are supposed to do? And what is the complaints about members on the police commissions and what they're not doing?
There's no one to hold the police accountable. The police chief is supposed to hold the police officers accountable for their misconduct. They're not doing that. And so the people of Oakland, because we're a charter city in California, we have a right to create our own institutions. So we created a police commission that will hold the police accountable. And the citizens have given the mayor the authority to appoint people to that commission. In fact, I'm being considered for the Oakland Police Commission, which will hold the police in Oakland accountable for their misconduct.
Question. Did I understand you to say that the mayor will be appointing the people that will be on that commission? Or
Yes,
is it
the
that
commission
those
has been
people,
in action for 2 years?
or will the people that's being put on the police commission, will they be put up to the general public to be voted on that commission?
No.
No.
The people put in the charter, our city constitution, that this commission was structured just like the Port Commission. And the Port Commission, the city council and the mayor appoints members to the Port Commission. Well, the same thing happens with the now Police Commission. And the only people that have to ratify the appointments is the city council.
So the public never gets a chance to vote on the people representing them on the police commission, the oversight
No, they
commission?
vote for the council members that represent them.
I do understand, but what I'm saying here is that we talk about, in this one voice, we're talking about the Oakland situation, and we do have a police commission in Detroit that operates at some point where the people have to be voted to be on the commission.
Mm-hmm.
And to make,
No,
and to
ours is not like that.
Yes. Now, how is it that the people that the mayor would appoint to the commission is not working somewhat hand in hand with the mayor and the police chief?
Because the commission has been squabbling with the members, and they can't get themselves together to hire the staff that they need to finish the structure that the people voted for.
Ah, so that goes to that thing that we were talking about. If we all can come together, if we can all come together. You said that famous word, once people are finished saying, when we all come together, they come together as a group, and then what happens, you get the, what did you say? They're squabbling.
Mm-hmm. That's what's happening.
I got
So
about
the
I
new
got
mayor-
about a minute for you to sum up on that police commission. We got to go.
Well, the new mayor has is replacing the chairperson and another person, and hopefully we'll get that together. And like I said, I'm being considered as one of those persons.
And so the new mayor likes your style, huh?
Well, new mayor likes to do what the people want, and that is bring about accountability. And I plan to do that if I'm on any commission. I'm on the reparations committee for Alameda County, and we're going to hold Alameda County accountable for the things that they did to our people, especially in the area of housing.
As an attorney, what did you specialize in?
Well, I've specialized in, like most black attorneys, anything that walked in the door that has some money in their hands, we'll handle it. But mainly, my firm started off as doing criminal defense work, and then we went into personal injury work, and we ended up doing public finance.
Well, how do you get to, because I knew you as a defense attorney for clients.
Yeah, but my firm did the work. I was primarily on the city council, so I didn't do a lot of trial work or things at the law office because I was busy out there with you folks on the street.
Going back to the Panthers, going back to black folks during that time, I'll tell folks that during that real rough time when black folks were just getting beat up, hurt by the police, etc., it became a time in the community that if you saw black folk being arrested, being chased by the police, you may have an inclination to get behind them and just to watch. We had
That's what the Panthers did.
Yeah, would you please tell them, because I tell folks all the time here about the experiences, because again, some people read it, some people hear it. We lived it. We lived it. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We lived it.
Still living it.
Yes. But when I talk about the fact that we as a people, that the police was holding us hostage, doing the things they was doing, beating, killing, threatening, that without people putting out the call, us as a people felt empowered somewhat to try to watch. Even if the police was chasing, sometimes we got behind. I know I did. Just to see that that person didn't get hurt. And I can remember being in a bad situation, a bad spot, and the police had me in a bad situation, and I feared for my life. And somebody rolled around twice. And that's how I'm still here today, I do believe. How about that? Well, they're going to say...
The Panthers encouraged.
Yes.
They said, watch the police. You have a right to watch them.
Okay.
But they took it to a level that it got publicity because they said you can watch them while you holding the gun.
Well, I got to watch
the only one.
Mr. Leo,
on the scene
the gun is being held on me called a clock. I got to say goodbye to you, brother. And again, we're going to take up some more of this, and I'm going to get some pictures, and we'll have the pictures to show the folks. But I got to let you run. And I want to love you and thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Leo Brazil, Oakland, California. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Love you, man. Tell the folks hello.
All right.
Family, remember, this is Talk Beat Jones. I am Billy Jones Jones, and you can watch the program every Wednesday from 10 to 11. We have a repeat broadcast on a Sunday from 4 to 5 on 15.2. You type in on the YouTube, TV 33 on demand, look up Talk Beat Jones, Billy Jones, look at the date, and you too can watch us, like it, share it, love it. And again, quiet time for our council person that has made a transition, Miss Joanne Watson. Love you. Bye now.
You wouldn't have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones.